Hey y'all, welcome back to my live weekly show. I'm Shanta Prince, and I work with coaches, consultants, experts, speakers, anyone who wants to build a powerful online brand and a thriving business. And basically, what I help them to do is I help them to create their high ticket offers, and then I teach them how to get paying clients and so much more. So, all the things around building a thriving online business, your girl. So, today I want to talk about how to build credibility because this is one of the things that when you're first starting out in business, it's tricky because you feel like, I want people to trust me, and how am I going to get people to trust me? There's a fear around it, there's an apprehension around it because you're like, who is going to pay me? Who's going to pay me to teach them what I know? Well, first of all, there are a lot of people who will pay you to teach for you to teach them what you know, but it's all in the positioning, and that's I'm going to talk a little bit about that today when it comes to positioning you, right? So you want to position yourself, you also want to be able to position your offer, right? So today I'm talking about positioning you because it's all about credibility. And one of the things that I made a post about this the other day. So if you're following me on social media, then you probably have seen that. You may or may not have seen that post. But I talked about how I see this all the time where people are stuck in a cycle of constantly learning but never implementing. And those are the people that you see, they're going from program to program, and they keep, they're going to school, and you see them constantly going to get another certification. And they get stuck in a cycle of learning but never implementing. Now, that's not just the same as a person who actually needs a specific kind of license to do their job. I'm not talking about that kind of person. I'm talking about the kind of person who is called to business, and they should be doing business, but instead of doing business, they're stuck in a cycle of learning, right? And there's a satisfaction that comes with that, and that is the deception. Because when you learn something new, you feel like, oh, that was great. I learned something new, and you feel like you've grown a little bit, and so there's a satisfaction and a comfort that comes with learning new things. And but it will keep you in a cycle of constantly learning stuff but never implementing. And so when it comes to really stepping out and building your credibility, those things are important. The trainings that you do, the certifications that you get, those things matter. But can I just tell you a secret? Your ideal clients care more about making sure you can do what you say you can do than how many certifications you have. And that is the truth. Okay. They want to know if you can do what you say you can do. And a lot of times, if you have the whole alphabet behind your name, sometimes your ideal clients don't even understand what all of that stuff means, right? So your peers will understand. Now, if you're in a space where you do work with your peers and you help them to do certain things, that's different. But your peers will, if they're your peers and also your ideal clients, they will understand some of that stuff. But many times, your ideal clients don't even understand what a lot of those letters mean. I see coaches doing it all the time. They have their name and they have the whole alphabet behind the name to show the certifications and things that they have. And it's like, okay, well, your other coaches who have been through that specific training may be able to identify that, but that means nothing to your ideal clients. Okay. So when I talk about credibility today, I want to talk about things that you can do outside of the trainings and outside of the certifications. Okay. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't want to be misunderstood here. I'm not knocking training or certifications because, like I've told you guys before, I have 4 college degrees myself and a whole bunch of certifications too. I love learning. I'm a lifelong learner, and that's how I know how easy it is to get sucked up in the trap of learning and learning and learning, but never implementing. Right? Been there and done that. And so let's talk about ways that you can build credibility without going to get another certification or another degree. And I feel like I have to talk about this because I work with high achievers, right? I'm a high achiever. I work with high achievers. What are we doing? We're always achieving, right? We're out here achieving things. And if you're anything like me, you love learning, you love bettering yourself, okay? But there's got to be a balance to it. Don't be an information hoarder where you're constantly hoarding all this information and you're never doing the work, because the real change happens when you actually do the work. Okay. Now, when it comes to building credibility, the first thing that most people resort to is training, certifications, classes, college degrees, and things like that. That's usually the first thing that we go to because deep down inside we feel like, well, if I have a degree, then people are going to believe me, people are going to trust me. If I go get this certification, people are going to believe me, they're going to want to work with me. You guys, I made the big mistake early in my business of thinking that I had to lead with my certifications, I had to lead with my degrees, and I found out very quickly and very harshly that that is not what is most important. So, and people do this even now, and you probably have seen it, where people they lead with their certifications. They'll say, "Well, I'm certified in this, and I'm certified in this." I even see a couple of people posting, "Click here to see my the latest certification I received," and it's like, ugh, I cringe because I'm like, but how does that help your ideal clients? Okay, how does that help your ideal clients? And how do you translate that so that they understand, okay, what that certification means and how it's going to help them? But usually, people, when it comes to building credibility, they get certifications, they get degrees, they go to training after training after training because they think that's what makes them credible. And that's partly true, right? Those things do help build credibility. But I'm telling you what's most important when it comes to getting clients, when it comes to selling online, your people want to know that you care and that they want to know that you can actually do what you say you can do. Now, how do you demonstrate that? How do you get them to see that you can do what you say you can what you say you can do? So, for example, I told you guys I have 4 degrees. Guess what? None of my degrees are in business, not one. And people pay me to help them to build their businesses. Okay, and so that's enough right there, right? My degrees are not what make me credible. The fact that people know that I can help them to create offers, the fact that people know that I can help them to get paying clients, those that is what people are really paying me for, right? So the first thing you can do when it comes to building your credibility. So before we dive into that really quickly, let me just backpedal a little bit and talk about what credibility actually is, okay? Because um when you really understand what credibility is and what it does for your brand, then you can get a better understanding of what you need to do to build credibility. So, in essence, credibility is the quality of being trusted, right? Is credibility is being believed in. And there's a lot of different ways to get people to trust you. There's a lot of different ways to get people to see you as that trusted expert. Because we understand that when people trust us as an expert, that's what makes them want to pull out that car and invest, right? Because we want the expert. We want the person who knows this thing, who understands this problem that we're dealing with, and the one who can help us to solve it. Okay. So when you're building credibility, your people, you want your audience to believe that you can do what you say you can do. Okay. And let me tell you, it's not always the degrees that help them to see that or understand that, right? If I sat here and I've told you, hey, I have an associate's degree in computer studies, I also have a bachelor's degree in computer studies, I have a bachelor's degree in psychology, then I have a master of divinity in practical theology. Now, what did that just do for you? Nothing. Right? Nothing. And like I said, I'm not saying that this stuff doesn't matter, but I want you to understand. I'm talking to the people who feel like you got to keep going and get these certifications. You got to keep going to school. You do not, right? What you really need is an offer that you can sell and a way to get paid, okay? But when it comes to building credibility, what you're doing is you're showing your audience that you can be trusted and that you can actually do what you say you can do. So the first thing that you can do, number one, you can take an inventory of everything that you've accomplished so far. Take an inventory of everything that you've accomplished it so far, and you shape that into a story. Okay. Why do I say story? Because people love stories, and storytelling is a form of marketing. When people can get an understanding of where you came from, how you got to where you are, they can attach onto that. Okay, so let's go back to what I said about credibility. Credibility is being believable. When people understand your story, you become more believable because they feel like they know you, they know about where you came from and how you got to where you are. So a lot of people say, well, I have a degree in this. Should I include that in my bio? Should I include that in my story? My answer is always yes. And let me explain why. Even if the degree has nothing to do with what you do, I still think it's important. And the reason why is because the whole goal is for you to connect with people. The whole goal is for you to be seen as that credible expert, to be trusted, right? And so when people get to see where you came from, it doesn't matter if you have a degree that has nothing to do with what you're doing right now. Let me give you an example of that. So I submitted a pitch to get booked on a podcast. And this is something that I teach hey lady, this is something that I teach my clients how to do as well. I teach them how to get booked on other people's platforms. And so I sent this pitch to get booked on a podcast. And this was a business podcast. And when they reached out to me, they told me, they said that most of the people who pitch to this podcast do not get booked on this podcast. But they wanted to book me on the podcast because my application was thorough. And when I actually showed up to record the podcast host said to me, I saw that you were on Food Network. And I said, I gotta get her on this show. Now we both are business teachers. We're both business coaches, but she saw that I was on Food Network. And she said, I've got to get on the show. Well, it turned out that before she was a business coach, she was a chef. And so even though me being on Food Network really didn't have anything to do with that business, the topic that we were talking about for business on the podcast show, it was a point of connection for us. Okay. And this is why I encourage you to take the inventory of what you've already accomplished and shape it into a story. Why? Because some people are going to connect with that. Some people are going to connect with you because of your past. And so another example is I did a live in-person event. It was a long time ago when I did this event, but the most beautiful thing is that I had these two ladies come to my event, and they told me when they came, they said, we didn't really know what this event was about, but we just came because we saw that you were a Navy veteran and we're in the Navy. So even though me being in the Navy, the event was it was one of my business events, and I think I was teaching on discovering your purpose. And they were like, we didn't really understand what this event was going to be about. We just saw that you were a veteran, right? That was a point of connection. That's a point where I connect with my audience. So what you got to do is you got to figure out, you got to take an inventory of where you came from and how you got to where you are. You shape that into an amazing story. And guess what? People will connect with you because they'll see themselves in your story, right? That is one powerful way to build credibility. To become believable is by sharing your story. Even if your experience don't have anything to do with what you're talking about right now, it's still a part of your story, okay? But your story, your story should reveal how you got to where you are, okay? So if I talk about how I have a couple of degrees in computer studies, well, the reason why I got those degrees in computer studies is because when I was in the Navy, I was in IT. Even though I do love technology, but at the time I was like, I don't even like being in IT. So basically, when you join the military, when I started in the Navy, they took my score that I got on the test on the ASVAB, and they were like, okay, based on your score, these are the jobs that you can do. And I chose IT. I had choices between IT or intelligence specialist, and I chose to be in IT. And so when I got into it, I was like, I don't even know if I like being in IT, right? So I have so much experience with different aspects of technology. But at the time, I got that degree because the Navy was paying for education, and whatever they were paying for, it had to line up with what you were doing at the time. So guess what? Because I was in IT, I went and got a degree on the Navy's dime, but it had to line up with what I was already doing. So you see how that's a story, right? That's a story behind why I have that specific degree. And now that you know that, you have a little bit more insight into my life and into how I got to where I am. And so when you're able to do that, it allows your audience to see you as a person who is believable, as a person who is credible. So don't underestimate the power of your story or where you came from or the power of your past, and don't think it's irrelevant. Okay, don't think those things that you've accomplished that they're irrelevant because they don't have anything to do with what you're doing right now. A lot of those things are points of connection between you and your audience. And I've been saying this to my clients since forever, that connection is the new currency, right? The main way that I make money and the way that I teach my clients how to make money is by connecting with people. Because artificial intelligence is great, but it cannot build relationships for you. I believe that nothing is better than connecting with people on a regular basis, human to human, right? Listen, I've been teaching artificial intelligence. I've been teaching my clients how to use Chat GPT. I've showed them how to go in and use Chat GPT to help them with content ideas, to help them with all kinds of things, to help them do market research, all kinds of things, right? But I also teach them how to use your own voice. Don't let Chat GPT be your voice. How do you take what Chat GPT is helping you with and make it your own voice, right? We're talking about credibility, right? Being believable. Listen, I can spot a Chat GPT email or post from a mile away. And that's only because I've been in there. I've been inside Chat GPT, learning it, studying it, and teaching it. And so if I can see when I get a specific email or when I see a post, I'm like, that's Chat GPT. Why? Because I know, look, Chat GPT has a certain style. Okay. And I'm able to identify that style pretty quickly. And so this is why I teach my clients, listen, use it, but you gotta make it, you gotta make it in your own voice. Okay. But anyway, so when it comes to shaping your story, what you want to do is you want to give your audience an opportunity to get to know you, because people are buying from people that they know. And that's what I mean by like artificial intelligence cannot replace you. It cannot build relationships for you. This time, you guys, y'all know what the economy is looking like. And even before the economy took a turn, people are not looking to spend their hard-earned money and not make sure it's a good investment. Now, people are more careful about their investments. They're looking closer to make sure that what they're spending their money on is going to benefit them. And so it's really important for you to focus on connecting with people, because why? People buy from people they know and trust. None of us are out here spending money with people that we don't know and trust. Okay. So building credibility, a part of that is your story. People can your audience should see themselves in your story. And so think about how everything that you've been through up to this point has shaped your story, and how can you communicate that? Your story is one of the most powerful components of your brand. Okay? One of the most powerful components of your brand. Okay, so the second way you can build credibility, we talk about building credibility without going to get another degree or another certificate or another college course. How can you build credibility with your audience right now? Okay, without spending another dime, without going back to school. And like I said, if you're just joining me, I'm not knocking education. I love school myself. As a matter of fact, I'm thinking about going back to school to get a doctorate degree, but I'm not ready to write papers just yet. Every time I think about going back, I think about those papers. I'm like, Lord, I don't know if I want to write these papers, but I'm not knocking those things, but I'm saying you gotta implement the stuff that you're learning. And I'm talking about how you can build credibility without doing those things. There's a way to hide behind that stuff. There's a way to hide behind, and I see people doing it all the time. They're already amazing, but they keep going back to get more stuff because they feel like I have to be better to get people to trust me. Okay. This is why we're talking about this today, because I'm going to show you how to get people to trust you without needing to do all that. Okay. So, number one, telling your story, take an inventory of your accomplishments, and you shape that into a story so that people can have a connection with you. Even if you are a stay-at-home mom and you raised 5 children, That's a huge accomplishment. Let me tell you, I one of my coach trainers, when I was getting my life coaching certificate, one of my trainers was a stay-at-home mom, and she raised several children, homeschooled them, and they all went off to college. To me, that was impressive. I was really impressed by that because I'm like, wow, like all of her kids, she homeschooled them all, and they're all off. They're all in college now. So for me, that was a big wow because I'm like, that is amazing. That's amazing, right? That's a part of her story that people that do things like that, they don't see it as something that's significant, or they don't see it as something that's a point of connection. But I was really inspired by her and very impressed that she did that. Okay. And so that's what I mean by, like, don't overlook your accomplishments. Even if you feel like, well, I'm just a stay-at-home mom, you can still position it. Listen, I can position anything, right? My clients know I can position anything. So if you need help with positioning yourself as an expert, I'm your girl. Okay. So no matter what you think is irrelevant, it can be relevant when it comes to your story. Okay. The second way you can build your credibility pretty quickly is by creating content. And this is one thing that I'm always encouraging my clients to do is to create content. Because when you create content, then your audience can see with their own eyes that you know what you're talking about. They can see that you know your stuff. And listen, when you know your stuff, when you're living your purpose, and when you know that you're in your purpose and you can do this thing in your sleep, and you love this thing that you're doing, and you're passionate about this thing that you're doing, that's very attractive. It's very attractive. Anybody who is doing their thing is attractive. And that's why when we see certain celebrities, they have this wow factor. It doesn't matter what they do. They could be a basketball player, they could be a tennis player, they could be a doctor. Anybody who's passionately living out their purpose is attractive. And the way that you show up and you present yourself, it allows people to see your passion and to see your heart and feel connected to you. And that right there will boost your credibility so fast. So fast. And this is y'all, I'm so passionate about creating content because every expert has some kind of content, and success leaves clues. Your content are the clues that point to success. Natasha said, I did it kicking and screaming. Yes, yes. Natasha, she's just, I'll always tell Natasha, she's so bomb, you guys. So if you get connected with Natasha, she is so awesome on camera. And she's one of the ones that I'm like, okay, we got to get you out here creating content on a regular basis. You have to create content on a regular basis. You guys, think about this. You want somebody to pay you to work with you, but you don't even want to create content. Now, I'm not talking about you guys, right? But it surprises me how often I meet people and they don't want to create content. And not only do they not want to create content, they don't even want to talk to their people. They want to find a way to get clients without talking to people. And I'm like, but how can you have that mindset when you want people to pay you and you don't even want to talk to them? You don't even want to create content to serve them. Creating content is a form of serving. And guess what happens? When people see you showing up and you're creating content and you're serving, they get a feel for what it's like to work with you. If you're absent and you're avoiding talking to them, why would they want to invest with you? If I'm investing with somebody, I need somebody who's present. I need somebody who knows what they're talking about, because listen, people work hard for their money and they want to make sure they're sowing on good ground, right? So when you show up and you create content and you serve people, you're showing people that you're in business. You're demonstrating your gifts, right? So a couple of years ago, I did a podcast and I talked about marketing like Jesus, because it was a Christian podcast, and I talked about marketing like Jesus. And it's so funny because the person that I did the show with went ahead and did another topic called marketing like Jesus, but that's a whole other topic. But anyway, I talked about marketing like Jesus. And when you think about how when Jesus walked this earth, look, if you just look at how he did things, he very intentionally went out to talk to people, right? He very intentionally went to find his people. Okay. Then guess what else he did? He demonstrated his gifts. So people could see him in action and demonstrating his gifts. And guess what started to happen? His influence started to grow and people started to follow him, right? His following grew because he was out there demonstrating his gifts, right? And so if you read through the scriptures, you'll see him saying, I must go to Samaria, right? He's going out, he's very intentional about connecting with people. He was very intentional about demonstrating his gifts. He was very intentional about serving. And then everything else came along with that. And so if you don't want to serve people and you don't want to talk to people, you got two options. You can change your mindset and say, okay, I know I need to show up. Let me start showing up and helping my people. Or you may want to find something else to do because you got to show up for your people because they're not going to want to invest with you if you're absent. Okay. Because they're going to feel like, well, where's she going to be if I have a question or if I need help, right? Show up and serve your people, even if you don't feel like you know what you're doing. Every last one of my clients, I can't think of one client that I've had that did not do a live video. Even if it was only a couple of times, right? All of my clients start out like hating it, right? And then they end up loving it at the end in the end because they understand, okay, listen, I got to serve my people. But once they forget about themselves and realize, okay, my people need me, I got to show up for my people, then all of that goes away. One of my clients was in the store a few days ago and she ended up closing a sale because she was connecting with the cashier. She told the cashier what she's doing, and the cashier wrote her a check and said, I want to join your program. How do you close a sale in the store when you're out trying to shop? Okay. Let me tell you what she did. She was able to articulate what she does, and this is something that I help with. The positioning yourself. She was able to articulate who she is, what she does, who she helps, how she helps. And a lot of people are not able to do that. Okay. If you need help with that, then I'm your girl for that too. Right, exactly. He was very intentional. So she closed a sale. I'm cracking up, Natasha. She closed a sale in the store because she connected with the cashier. So new client, unexpected, right? Unexpected new client. So when you create content, it allows your people to see who you are. They get a feel for your teaching style. They get to see your personality and they get to learn more about you. The beautiful thing about being on camera is that when people can see your face, that builds a connection faster than if they're just hearing your voice. Okay. Now, I'm not saying that, a Clubhouse or podcasting is not good because they are and they're very powerful. As a matter of fact, people still do audios, and I've invested in programs upwards of $20,000, and I log in and some of this stuff is audio, right? So audio is still very powerful. But let me tell you, getting on camera and allowing people to see your face will build your credibility so fast because they can see you, right? They can see you and they feel connected to you when they're able to see your face. Okay. So creating content, if you're not on a regular schedule of creating content, you need to start like today. One of my clients started her regular routine of creating content, and she's got her topics laid out for a month where she's going to go live once a week and show up for her people. And this is what I mean by regular content. I have another client who she was struggling. She already had everything in place. And when she came to me, I asked her about her content. So she had done a launch, but she didn't make any money from the launch. And so I said, okay, what you've got to do is you've got to get on a regular routine of creating weekly content. So she didn't change anything other than start creating weekly content. And so I said, just get your content up and going, and then launch again. And she did that. And this time she made $5,000 with a tiny launch. You guys, listen, $5,000 with a super small launch is incredible because her conversions were off the charts. Okay. So creating regular content builds trust. And a lot of times people want to skip right to selling, and it's you're struggling to sell because you haven't been showing up, you haven't been engaging. And people are like, well, why should I invest with you? Now, I do teach my clients how to start out right away with getting clients. I teach them how to start with people that they know already. Your first clients are probably already connected to you, and they're people that you already know, even if it's not the specific person that you know, it could be someone who they know, right? And I teach my clients how to tap into that when they're first starting. But the thing is, when you're first starting out, you get your first handful of clients, whether it's a group program or a one-on-one program. But after that, you got to start doing the stuff that I'm talking about, the stuff that I teach inside of my program. That first round, you go out, you get your sales, you get your first, that boost of income, you get that influx of income. But after that, you got to put in the work to grow your audience and to engage with them and to build your credibility and trust with them, right? So what happens is if you're not doing those things, you're going to constantly be doing the same things over and over and over again with the same group of people. And then you're going to get ready to sell and you're going to struggle because you haven't focused on building your audience. You haven't been putting in the work to grow your list. You haven't been communicating with people. And it takes a lot of work when you're at a point where you need a cash injection in your business, but you haven't been doing those things. It is a struggle, right? I talk about 4 pillars in your business that have to work together for you to be successful. The 4 pillars are like a table, right? If you're missing a table leg, your table's going to be pretty wobbly, right? If you don't have these things, these 4 things working in your business, working together, you're going to struggle. Okay. And I know because I've been there. It's over a few years of me growing my business. It took me, I had to learn some things the hard way where I'm figuring out stuff like as I'm doing it. And then it clicks because I'm trying to do something and there's a struggle. And then it clicks like, oh, that's why I need to do this. Because if I don't do that, then this piece that I'm working on right now doesn't work. Okay. This is why I teach the way that I teach. Okay. When I'm working with my clients, I teach them the way that I teach because I understand the struggle. So I teach them how to put all the pieces together so that they can be successful. Okay. So creating content on a regular basis paves the way for you to sell. And it makes selling a lot easier. Okay. But you still got to work on all the other pieces, right? But today is about credibility. So I'll save that for another day, okay? But number 1, we're talking about how to build credibility, okay? And this is not without getting another degree or another certification. Number 1, take an inventory of everything that you've already accomplished and you shape that into your story, okay? Your brand story. Then number 2, create content on a regular basis. Every single week, you should be putting out a new piece of content. Whether it's a live video, if you blog, if you do Clubhouse, if you do podcasts, whatever platform or whatever style you choose, right? You should be putting out a new piece of content every single week. And so this is a principle, but how you accomplish it is up to you. The principle is create content every week to build your credibility. How you do it, whether it's podcasting, blogging, live video show, is up to you. Okay. As long as you're able to meet the standard of putting out weekly content, you're going to be just fine. Just choose your platform and go with that. You don't need to be everywhere all at once, right? Pick where you're going to show up and then show up every single week. Okay. That way your audience starts to learn how they can expect you. They start to learn where they can find you, right? This is a part of building a consistent brand. Your people know exactly where to go to hear you speak, to listen to your content. And you do that. You don't want to blog one week and then the next week you're showing up live. And then a week after that, you're doing a podcast, right? Now, if you're going to do all those things, that's fine, but just be consistent, right? So they know every week, they notice they're going to see a new blog, they know they're going to see a new podcast, they know they're going to see a live video. Whatever you do, do it consistently. Okay, that's what I'm saying, so that your audience can learn how to expect you. Okay, and then finally, the third way you can build your credibility, which is often overlooked, and that is getting some clients. Getting some clients builds your credibility. It's the ultimate credibility marker. And a lot of people, they do all the things around getting clients, but they never step into actually getting paying clients. And then when they do, is usually is not enough. When you're first starting out, you do things a little bit differently than when you're starting to pick up some momentum, right? So what I'm saying is, many times in business and in life, what got you here won't get you there. And listen, I promise you, you can do this if you do the work. If you put the steps in, and then if you do the work. And I know that some parts of it can be a real struggle, but there's other things that you can do to work through the struggle. One of my clients was like, I'm trying to get my email list together, and I struggle with those kinds of things. She's like, but my husband is good at it, right? So I'm telling her, I'm like, go get your husband and get him get him involved. Like, girl, cook him a good dinner or something, but get him involved. Do what you got to do, right? But that's the part of entrepreneurship that many people give up on, because they're like, well, I can't do this part. I'm not good at this part. But it doesn't necessarily have to be you, right? Who do you have? Who do you know that can help? Okay. Sometimes it's not necessarily how am I going to do this? Sometimes it's who's going to do this. Because I'm not good at this part. Now, I'm the kind of person, I will figure some stuff out, right? But I also have a strong technology background, and I used to do this stuff for done for you services. I used to build funnels. I used to set up email lists and all those things. I don't really do that very often anymore at all, unless it's for a client or for somebody who I've worked with. But you can figure anything out, you guys. There's so much information at our fingertips. If I've talked about anything today that made you feel like, oh my gosh, I need to figure out how to do that, just shoot me a quick message. Either I can help you, or I've got some resources that can help you. But getting clients is a really awesome credibility marker. And it's often overlooked because people are so busy getting the certifications, and they're getting the degrees, and they're doing all the things around getting clients, but not leaning into actually getting clients. That boosts your credibility in a very powerful way, right? So it's worth it to take the time to really learn how to get clients. So, for example, a lot of these programs out here, I've been in this space for a very long time, and I'm in this space, but I also invest in this space. Thank you so much, Natasha. Natasha created a quick summary. That's beautiful. Thank you. So I've been in this space for a really long time. I'm in this space and I invest in this space. So it's two sides of the coin for me. I can tell you offhand that there are not a lot of people actually teaching you how to close a sale. I'm not saying that they're not out there. They are. But you have more people saying how to build your brand, and less people saying, listen, let me show you how to make some money. Right? And then even less people telling you how to build wealth with the money that you make, right? Inside of my program, I show my clients the big picture of how to make consistent money. And there's a system for that. You've got to have a system. It's not just one thing. Most people focus on the one thing, right? They focus on, if they want to sell this pen, they focus on selling the pen, and that's it. Okay. When I work with my clients, I teach them, if you want to sell this pen, here's all the things that you've got to do so you can sell this pen consistently and make a lot of money doing it. So they're not focusing on just selling the pen, right? Because that's where you go wrong at. If you just focus on selling the pen, you're going to run into a lot of brick walls, and it's going to be so frustrating. But if you focus on the things that help you to sell this pen better, you're going to be so much more successful. That's why I say it's a system, right? If you're struggling with sales, it's probably something in your system that's broken. Okay. And I help with those things, right? We can help you to get your system working like a machine so that you can get consistent sales. And much of it starts with credibility. Many times people don't invest if they don't if they don't see you as a person who is credible, okay? But if you work on these things, I promise you, it starts to change. Let me tell you how fast it is. You can make one post about something that you know, and if you post it on your personal profile, it instantly starts to change how people perceive you. You can start making a difference with one post today. Because what happens is, it's one thing to inspire people, and we all love to be inspired. As a matter of fact, on my Facebook page, not my profile, but on my Facebook page, my audience there, they love inspiration. They love it. Okay. And so when I post inspirational things, they share those things, they comment on those things, they love it. Okay. However, there's another kind of posting that I do where it gives people the opportunity to see they get to see my expertise, they get to see how I think, they get to get an understanding of my beliefs. And those are the things that move the needle. Yes, inspiration helps, but I teach my clients how to do the inspiration part, but you also want to have posts that allow people to get to see how you think, because when you're building a brand, your thought leadership has to come into play. Right? You have to see yourself as a thought leader. And if you go to my page and all you see is just inspirational posts, you don't get to really see my thought leadership. You get to feel good, but then that's it, right? Thought leadership is what helps people to get the essence of your brand, right? This is the stuff that I'm talking about when I'm talking about the big picture. Okay? The big picture is, listen, thought leadership is going to help you to sell the pen. Because some people are going to look at that post. I've had people message me to join my program from one post. They saw a post and they were like, that really resonated with me. What are you offering? What do you sell? Right? It's the thought leadership that really shapes your brand, right? And that also falls under your content. Your content can drive your sales. Okay, that's why I created a product. I actually have a product to help you get on a consistent weekly routine of content creation. Okay, it's only $17, and it's $17 on purpose. Okay, so if you are like, okay, I need to get on a weekly, just shoot me a message, or you can go to contenttoauthority.com and go ahead and grab that $17 product to help you get on a regular routine of creating consistent content for your audience. Okay. So we talked about, Natasha did a beautiful summary of what we talked about today. Ways to boost your credibility. Number one, take inventory of your accomplishments and shape them into your story. Okay. Number two, create content on a regular basis. Every expert has some type of content, and success leaves clues. Your content every week leaves clues. If you go to my YouTube channel right now, even though I don't actively I'm not actively building a YouTube channel, but I do record my live videos on YouTube. And when I send out the link and I say, hey, I recorded this on Facebook, but you can watch it on YouTube. So even though I'm not actively building on my YouTube channel, I have videos over there. If you go to my YouTube channel and you click on the live videos, you'll see so many videos, probably a couple hundred. But I did not get here overnight, right? So you have to really think about the long game. And I know it's hard because so many people need money right now because they're just getting started and they need money right away. There's a way to get money right away, okay? There's a way to come out of the gate and get some money right away. But after you get that money rolling in, you got to put that work in so you can keep it coming, right? So you can keep that consistency coming in. That's why I talk about the system. You got to have a system, okay? And so, but if you went to my YouTube channel, you'll see a ton of videos that I have stored there over time. That's from me creating content every week. When I get booked on platforms and people ask me for my social media handle, Thank you, Natasha. Natasha put the link in there. Content2authority.com. If you want to get a quick, easy product to help you get on your weekly content creation schedule, go to content2authority.com. It's just $17. And if y'all know me, you guys pretty much know that I over deliver. So it's worth way more than that. Okay. So when I get booked on platforms and they ask me, hey, can you send us some videos or can you send us some of your content? I send them to my YouTube channel. Why? Because they can see they can see my track record. Remember, success leaves clues, right? So if you go and you look at my YouTube channel, you can see all of the clues. You can see they when I get booked on people's platforms, they see that I'm consistent. They get a feel for how I speak and how I teach, and then they can decide, okay, Shanta is going to be a great fit for this show. We see a few hundred of our videos. She's great. Let's get her on the show. Y'all, that's how I get booked. And I encourage my clients to do the same, right? So when I do my live videos, I'm streaming on YouTube as well, because that is where I'm collecting all of my videos. Okay, but success leaves clues. Every expert has something backing them up. Okay, I cannot tell you how many times I see someone or hear them speak, and I'm a reader, so immediately I'm like, does this person have any books out? Like, let me go books, content, anything, right? I'm looking for more content because I'm like, I want to hear more of this, right? So I go and I look for something, whether it's a book or videos or something, right? I'm going to look for something that they have. Every expert has something backing them up, okay? That's what's going to make you credible. Other than all the trainings, all the trainings we go through, that's only a part of it, right? But the way that you can build credibility quickly is with all the things that we just talked about today, okay? You have to, yes, ma'am. Thank you so much for recapping that. Absolutely. Thought leadership helps you to get the essence of your brand, right? So this is when you're building a brand of substance, you got to see yourself as a thought leader. And you're going to post things and it's going to be controversial. Who cares, right? Listen, there's so many people who disagree, right? But that's how they see things, and that's their marketing. And I used to think that, oh man, like, well, this person said this and this person said that. And then it can feel tense because you're like, well, I just said this, but this guru just said that, right? And it doesn't mean that just because you do it differently, it doesn't mean your way is wrong. It doesn't mean that their way is wrong, right? It's just, this is a person and this is how, they've obtained their success. And you're a person and you're teaching what you teach because this is how you obtain your success, right? Okay, so and I'm saying this because content creation can be intimidating. If you see things differently from the gurus, that's okay, you guys, because somebody's waiting for you to say something, right? Somebody's waiting for you to be like, oh, this is how I see it. So they can be like, oh, I'm so glad I'm not the only one. I finally found somebody that sees things differently. When you say things and when you really start positioning yourself as a thought leader, you're going to draw the people who you're called to serve. The other person that's saying it differently, they're going to draw the people that they're called to serve, right? Don't we all just want to work with the people who we're called to serve? If you're like me, I say this all the time. I don't want to work with anybody who I'm not called to. I only want to work with the people who I'm called to serve, right? If people are unsubscribing from my list, if they're leaving, I'm okay with that. Why? Because I want the people who I'm called to serve. I work with people who I'm not called to serve, and it's not fun, right? Get excited about working with people who you're called to serve, right? Rejection is a redirection, okay? If the client don't want to work with you, let them go. Because guess what? There's so many more out here. So many more out here. And you start this business so you can have joy and peace and actually wake up excited about what you're doing. When it's time for me to meet with my clients on Tuesday nights, I get excited, right? I could be tired. I could have been like ripping and running the whole day. But when it's time for me to go on with my clients, I get excited. Why? I like my clients. Some people don't like their clients. My clients are bomb. Okay. So, but all of the things that we talked about today, think about those things. Think about your story. Think about what kind of content you're going to create and how you're going to get some clients. And all of these things boost your credibility. Okay. All right, you guys, thank you so much for hanging out. Thank you, Natasha, for all your recaps. I appreciate you so much. I'm sending you big virtual hugs right now. And if you have any questions about how to build your brand, how to create your high ticket offer, how to find and close clients, I'm your girl. Send me a message. You can message me on LinkedIn. You can message me on Facebook. You could actually message me on any social media platform that I'm on. Um, I, I use Messenger a lot to communicate with my audience. That's just my jam. I communicate with my audience. I talk to my people. I'm not one of those people who's hard to reach. Exactly. We do have a ball. I'm not one of those people who are hard to reach. I'm very easy to reach. I'm accessible to my clients. I'm accessible to you. Reach out if you have any questions or if you need help. Okay. Don't try to go through this alone. It's hard enough. Okay. Business is hard enough. You don't have to do it alone. Okay. Send me a message, or you can email me at info@shantaprince.com. Other than that, you guys have a beautiful Thursday and an amazing weekend. And I'll see y'all back here next week. See you again soon.